whatever. Okay, it doesn't matter because we're live. So, whatever.
Oh, God. Okay,
Start
good.
up.
I'm so glad that that's on permanent record.
Yeah, I mean, I hit it just as you, like, your voice came on. I was like, all right, boom, we're live, so that, you know, I can send this tweet out and everything. Yeah, so...
Well, that's a hell of a way to start an episode.
I mean,
why don't you get the ball rolling with some actual content so that...
Yeah, you said 10 seconds of downtime is really bad, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just start it in the middle of our conversation next time. Like, it doesn't matter. I'll do whatever.
I didn't say it was... Well, okay, yeah. Yeah, I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what you said, and then you called me a piece of shit, and, you know, I was really sad.
Yeah.
So.
Uh-huh. That sounds exactly like me. Classic me.
Yeah. I mean, it totally is.
Yeah.
So, just right off the top, gonna do my intro. Hey, everybody that's watching. Welcome to Life Bytes. This is episode 2. Sorry for the 2 weeks off that we had. We had some technical issues the first week, because Derek, as you can now hear, is now with us. Before he wasn't, and now he is.
It would sound bad if you said Derek is no longer with us. So.
That is what I said the first week, though. I didn't know if you caught it. I was like, Derek's not with us, so we've got Pat. Don't worry, he didn't die. Well, but it was fine. And yeah, again,
I like your impression of yourself too. That's
yeah. Well, I mean, that's my stereotypical nerd voice too, right? I go with that voice whenever I'm trying to make fun of people, including myself.
Including yourself.
Yeah. So.
To differentiate.
Yeah, you can like, this is my normal, like, hey, how you doing? Like, I'm a piece of shit, ha 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 voice. And then there's the whole, like, I'm gonna be super sarcastic about everything that I say now. That's that voice. So.
That's wonderful. I like all your
Don't
voices.
ever do that.
I appreciate that. So
we won't get in the way of your intro anymore. You go ahead.
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna plow on through regardless. Like, I don't care. So coming back is Kyle. What's up, Kyle?
Hi. Hi.
AKA Keist, as his online name.
That sounds really, really close to like zeitgeist.
Yeah, or
I don't know what the origins.
Or some sort of like venereal disease. Yeah, dude, what happened to your girlfriend? No, I had to break up with her, dude. She had Keist. Like, what the fuck? And
that's some new thing.
Well, I mean, knowing Kyle's reputation, someone might come down with a case of Keist.
They just might. Oh god. And then as well, we have Zach.
Hi, Zach.
AKA Sci-Fry. And then apparently he's got no witty banter to go with that. So, and then lastly, we got Derek finally joining us. He was supposed to be on first episode. So
I'm okay with being introduced last.
Yeah.
I kind of earned that with all
Last-
of my technical
last
problems.
and certainly least. No,
I mean,
just-
but you know what? As far as my gamer credentials go and using computers, I rank the lowest tier with all of you. So, I mean, I'm okay with being the fall guy in that.
yeah, I mean, it happens a little bit.
Wow, that sounds almost condescending, but super polite, so I'll take it.
It's like condescending, but in a polite tone.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
Yeah.
You should be a manager of some kind. You didn't fuck up.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And of course, Derek's online name is Mr. Big Spoon. I'm sure there's a story with that, but we're gonna get to that in a second, because I want to know, how'd you guys come up with your online names? Because we've got the Keist, we've got Sci-Fry, and we got Mr. Big Spoon, and then myself, Jay, aka Draken. You know, mine's fairly simple, I'll explain afterwards, but how did you guys come up with your online names? Like,
Well, I can go first. If I didn't get enough talking time in the last episode, so I'll go first.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. The Rejected comics. It was a video that was popular like 10 years ago.
yeah.
It was a video drawn in like sketched up, and there was a guy standing there with an oversized spoon, and he was just saying that my spoon is too big, and I was just very taken with that. And I don't know.
Mr. Lettuce Hands.
Mr.
Lettuce fingers or whatever.
Salad fingers?
Salad
fingers.
It sounded very much like salad fingers.
My
So
spoon is too big.
exactly. So that's where I got that from. But I considered myself a adult ahead of time, so it was Mr. Big Spoon.
Right.
Little bit of credentials. So
Of course.
you know, I come across with authority
Right.
clearly. Even though I'm completely inept, apparently.
We'll get over the inept in a minute, but Kyle, how did you come down with Keist? Is it a venereal disease?
Yeah, totally. You got it. You caught me.
The doctor was
Nope.
like, Kyle, you've got
Caught
Keist.
it.
You've got Keist! Oh, shit.
No, it's. I don't know. I've had a ton of handles over the years, and I saw so many. For example, like Dendy or Funnick and just shit like that, and I'm like, you know what? It's just all like one syllable name or two.
I mean, Dendy is 2, Funnick is 2.
I know. I mean, like, I didn't mean like that. I mean, like,
I'm just gonna shit on you starting right out the
Nah,
gate.
that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted a simple thing, and I just decided to fuck it. Throw my first 2 letters of my last and first name together.
I just want to point
that's
out
simple.
that you
I like
said
that.
I want to
Example.
fuck it.
PPD.
Fair enough.
Peter Pan.
Dagger.
It's easy. Exactly.
Yeah.
PPD.
It's literally his
Something-
first name, his last name, and then like a
Exactly.
nickname in the middle. Yeah,
Exactly.
that kind of makes sense.
Wait,
Zach,
did you just
I-
use the name Peter Pan as a reference point for PPD?
That is
It
his
is.
thing though.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Peter Pan Dagger.
Dagger? His last name is Dagger?
Yeah, but with 1 G. So it's sophisticated.
Oh, wow.
High class dagger.
Yeah.
How did I not know?
I'm
who
sorry,
Peter Pan's
PPD.
last
I
name
don't
was?
mean any flaming, but it's just kind of funny.
Yeah, so I thought I wanted something that was me, and I couldn't think of anything, so I was like, fuck it, whatever.
Well, it's
try
literally
that.
you, so mission accomplished.
I'll take the
exactly.
first 2 letters of my first name and the first 2 letters of my last name, and we got it.
Pretty much, and it worked. I mean, in my eyes, anyway.
You know what? Short and sweet is good, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's-
Yeah.
10 points.
10 points to Gryffindor.
Fuck you. I'm Slytherin, bitch.
Yeah,
totally
I'll,
are.
I'll give you that. You're definitely a Slytherin.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And what about
What was that?
our other friend, the American delegation?
Well, back in Dark Age Camelot, my first character was named Cycron. I don't have no fucking clue where that came from, but I just kind of from there I went with the Psy handle, and my Friar was mostly my main, so I went with Psy Fry, and you know, everyone's just kind of known me as that since.
Wow,
Very true to form.
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
that's mine's
Yeah.
mine's
So how did you
significantly.
get yours, Jason?
Thanks for asking. Well, I was signing up to play Dark Age of Camelot. No, that's not true. I was playing. Fuck, what game was it? It was a game way back in the day, like before
Wasn't
Diablo
that,
1.
It was that console version of Diablo, but it was not Diablo. It was the ripoff of Diablo.
Like Dungeon Siege or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Dungeon Siege. The
No,
one
I
sat
already.
on-
Yeah, I already had it at that point. Like, I've been using it since probably I was like 8 or 9 years old. Basically, I was really really young. I was playing like at the time I was playing PlanetSide 1, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, and then like a couple other like random video games. And at the time I was about to play like an RPG or an MMO, and I hit random name a bunch of times. And
A bunch of times, huh?
yeah, bunch of times I hit random name, and Darakian came up. Daraekan, and I thought that sounded retarded, so I took out the first A, and I was like, there we go, that sounds much better.
Oh, that's fair. I mean,
Like,
kudos to 8-year-old you.
yeah, I just got rid of one A, and I was like, that sounds fine. And I gotta say, despite it coming from a random name generator and me taking out literally only one letter, or I should
Yeah.
I should trigger Kyle here in a second.
Oh,
By
no.
taking out literally,
No.
literally one letter. We'll get to that in a
Oh, you
second.
got
I
some
hate you
there,
so
Kyle.
much.
We had an old coworker that instead of saying literally, which is the way that you say the word, by the way, he would say literally, and it just drove us both nuts because we're both very, well, myself more than Kyle. I'm very detail oriented. Like small details to me matter.
Yeah.
To the point where other people are like, dude, get over it. It's really a small thing. Like, what the fuck are you worrying about? Me, I'm just like, this small point matters. Anyway, no, but getting back to it. I took out one letter, and it came from a random name generator, and to this day I have never seen someone even relatively close to that name, with the exception of one person. At the same time that I signed up, like 3 months after I got the name, I signed up to an online clan called Warrior Nation. Shout out to Warrior Nation. They're still around, actually. Multi-gaming clan, PlanetSide, Diablo, World of Warcraft, yada yada yada. And, joined them, and I used the name, and somebody else had one very similar. It had like an extra A and an extra E and, some other shit. And I was like, oh, you're very close to my name. And he was like, yeah, haha, we're name buddies. And, we kind of hit it off and became friends.
Did you ask him if he used a random name generator?
I didn't, although he probably did. Let's be honest. I think his was like DAERAEKAEN or something like very
Something you would have corrected.
kind of close, but I looked at it and was like, that looks retarded. Just sitting there silently judging him for all of eternity because of it. And
I had a coworker that said minimum instead of minimum. And that drove me nuts because he was a guy that. That's actually the right way though. I mean, it's not spelled like that, but they had language before we did. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they got dibs as far as
LU
pronunciation.
minimum still doesn't sound like phonetically correct to me, but I know that it's correct. But that's one of the things that I'll let slide. But there's some things, like, literally, that I can't. Sorry, no.
Can you fucking
Stop
stop with that?
I'll stop. I'm triggering you so hard right now.
I hate you so much.
But yeah, it's really kind of entertaining. I never asked Pat how he got his last week, so maybe we'll have him on, for like 5 minutes or something. Be like, hey Pat,
next
how'd
time
you get
my
your name?
mic drops out.
Yeah, next time your mic's like, I'm not gonna work anymore. So, yeah, basically.
Hey, you guys should send the Twitch link to me.
Yeah, okay, send it in the group. There you go.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's like, it's always interesting to hear how people came up with their usernames and stuff, so it's kind of one of those things. Really cool.
Well, everyone likes origin stories.
It's been a couple weeks, so what have you guys done? What are you guys up to? How's things? How's the wife and kids?
Oh, okay. I mean, same old. Watch Skid every day. Play Dota, play Diablo.
Speaking of Diablo, how's that going?
Super untilt. Fucking DC killed my main. So,
Ugh, that's rough. For those that don't
never want to
know,
play again.
if you're if you're new to the channel, or if you're new to knowing who we are as people, I convert everybody that I know whenever we play a game together. If there's a hard mode or a hardcore mode, we play it, because I don't play softcore. So with Diablo, for example, even though it's like a hack and slash dungeon crawler, get gear, level character, whatnot, I just can't get past the fact that there's a softcore mode. Like, if there's a hardcore mode in the game, then everybody should play hardcore. Like, it sounds like kind of asinine to me to just be like, everybody should play this mode, but really they should, because it's so fun. Like,
Hold on. Actually, you know what? This is a good talking point because I completely disagree with you.
well, you're fucking dumb then, and just wrong. Like, I'm sorry, but
That's
you're
a
wrong.
really good jumping off point. Yeah, that's clean and friendly. Let's work with that. It depends on why you're playing the game.
True.
I've had
I'll concede
some
there.
games where there are like pretty strictly multiplayer games, and I play for the story, and that sounds like the dumbest thing because the story is clearly just filler. But
Right.
I mean, it's just the mechanics of it, and also some people play games for different reasons. So I
True.
mean, if you're playing to be stress-free or to like unwind from your job, you're not gonna play hardcore mode because you're gonna literally cry if your character dies.
Right.
So
For a second,
mean,
I thought you were gonna do a callback and say literally, but you didn't. So I'm a little sad.
I'm
Kyle's-
saving.
Kyle's
Actually, I'm
thankful.
building it up. And
Okay.
then I'm gonna talk about it later.
You're just gonna pop it out at the end. Well,
Look forward to that.
I mean, I can get behind that, right? Like the whole I got home from work about an hour ago. I put my feet up. Well, it's been over an hour now. We started late, but it would have been an hour if we started on time. Derek, we'll get to that. Apparently can't work a headset. There's a mute button. Who knew? So we're waiting on technical difficulties while Derek tries to figure out where the fucking mute button is. Anyway, enough shit talking. So, like, I can get behind that. I got home from work, and Final Fantasy is one of those games where I always revert to it because it's from my childhood, and it's just fun to, like, relax and chill. And I got 2 save files. One that I'm playing right now on the podcast, so people have something to listen to, or watch
it,
while they
dumbass.
listen to this. Whatever, man. Hard day at work. Anyway, so I can get behind that, the whole relaxing bit. But, like, if you're putting any amount of time into your character, like, if you're playing the game more than just, an hour or 2 a night, or even that would probably be sufficient. To me, like, the novelty would wear off very, very shortly. Like, I can play Diablo, softcore, or normal, or whatever you want to call it, for probably about 12 hours. And that's roughly how long it takes to get max level and get a decent amount of gear, and then you never have to worry about anything. Oh no, I died. Okay, I'll just respawn and continue on. Like, there's nothing to it. There's no challenge to it. And yeah, I get it. Some people aren't looking for that challenge, but it's almost like with me, with games, like, I like being challenged. And because I grew up in the era of Final Fantasy 1 is still a very hard game. If you have an NES or, whatever, if you wink wink own it, you own the console and you own the game, then you should download an emulator because it's legal at that point to do so if you own the game physically. Wink wink. Download it, give it a shot. The very first Final Fantasy on NES, not any of the remakes, not the PlayStation remake, because it's a very difficult game. It's very, very simple, but difficult. And I like that challenge. NES games were all difficult. SNES games, for the most part, were difficult.
The point you're making is that, your threshold for what is enjoyable to you is pretty high, or higher. But if everybody liked reading books, nobody would skydive. Like, there's different things for different people.
Huge flaw in that, I like both. Just no, I'm fucking with you. I totally see your point, but to me it's just like, if I'm gonna put any certain significant amount of time in something, I want to feel invested, and it's hard for me to feel invested if there is no chance of loss. So for me, the prospect of losing my character at any point in time, and all the hours that I put into the game to get that character and all the gear, I get it. Not a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I could lose my character anytime. Sign me up. I get it. But for me, that's one of the most alluring aspects, because in some ways you have to be on your toes all the time, but in the other ways, like, if you don't want to be on your toes all the time, don't play Torment 10. Play Torment 6 and just cruise,
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
You can always dumb it down at that point.
Yeah.
But I also,
so
I love
middle
games like
ground.
Dark
There you
Souls.
go.
Yeah,
We solved everyone's problems.
there you go. Everybody should play
Well,
hardcore, and if you want to chill, scale it back a couple difficulties. There you go.
Yeah.
Solution: Blizzard, get rid of softcore.
Hey, what?
You agreed.
No. Don't try that. I hear a squalling child.
That's
What?
That's
Never.
That's Zach's monk from the grave.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Ripping pepperoni.
I will say though, I played non-hardcore last season, and hardcore is way more fun.
Right?
Like, I had like 80 hours or something on Monk when I died. I put maybe half of that into my wizard last season and quit because it was fucking boring.
Right. I mean, you always got to look at it this way. If you're playing in hardcore, don't think of it as like, oh man, if I die, it's gonna suck. Think of it as, when I die, it's gonna suck. So, plan ahead for that.
Yeah.
Collect another full set of gear so that when you die, because everybody dies, there is no... I could be completely wrong on this subject, but I would highly doubt it, that there is no player ever that has picked up a game, played through the entire game, and not died a single time, unless the game was, like, super casual. But, like, Diablo, for example. Since Diablo 1, I don't remember if there's a hardcore mode, but if there was, like, if you die in that game, like, nobody has played Diablo 1, Diablo 2, or Diablo 3 and not died, ever. It's a normal thing that happens. you know? So just plan for it. And the fact that you do have to pay attention and, like, you could die at any time, to me, is a more, almost exhilarating kind of feeling. And if not for that, what do you play games for? You know?
To relax.
Fuck
Fine.
relaxing. Fuck
To-
relaxing. Let's do it for
Like,
exhilaration.
I mean, some people play those, and I have a bone to pick with these people. Those tap games on phones, like Clash of Clans or whatever
Oh,
it
I
is, where
hate
you just push buttons, and then
I'm
the
a
things pop
gamer.
up, and you
Real
push
quick,
more buttons.
I thought it was kind
Oh
of
no,
funny.
they-
You said that
Got
you had a
some
bone to
coins.
pick. We're actually fighting against 2 bones, a red bone, and a crawler. We killed the bones
Ah.
already, but... it's just kind of funny.
That actually just showed up on the Twitch stream,
Yep.
so now I know what the lag is.
Yep. The leg's like 3 seconds or something like that. 3 to 5. Man, we're both stunned. It's all up to Zach and Kyle here.
Here I come to save the day.
Yeah, you guys aren't casting spells, though, so it's gonna be like 1 damage at a time. Oh, Zach's
Fuck, don't
paralyzed.
use spells. Oh, fuck, I'm
Because we
next.
gotta save them for bosses, man. Fine.
Blink,
Cast
blink.
spells.
Yeah, how much damage is that? A lot.
1.
Oh,
Uh-oh, I might die. I died.
good.
Uh,
Payback, bitch.
I'm so sad.
I'm Jason. I'm so pro at Final Fantasy. I do speedruns all the time. I even own
See
the
how
game.
badass that ice was?
So badass it didn't even kill the enemy.
Hey, it did like 30 some odd damage, okay?
So,
I missed there. That's fine.
Derek and Kyle, what have you guys been up to? It's been like 3 weeks.
What a fuck and all.
I have been prepping for a wedding. Not mine.
I was about to say,
My-
where's my invite, bro?
surprise! No, my cousins have a wedding on the island, and I'm emceeing, so I. Needed
Oh, God.
Yeah. Pressure.
Oh, God.
I mean, I even have to curb my drinking early in the day,
Wow.
but it's one way of forcing someone to be responsible.
that doesn't sound like a wedding. Stopping drinking.
I mean, if it was just my family, they'd probably all let it slide. But also, you know, people are flying in from England, so it's
I don't see the problem.
Derek's dead.
they're not distributing T-shirts like I flew all the way from England. and all I
English
got was
people
this last-
drink.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they drink in Europe.
I'm pretty sure there's alcohol outside of Canada in the United States.
better than ours, I'd
I,
imagine.
I can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure.
So your excuse for me being responsible is, oh no, they've seen worse. Clearly.
Yeah, obviously.
So yeah, I've been bogged down with that and work, full-time work,
Right.
lots and lots. I don't know if did you guys do backstories and what everybody did, or
Yeah. Yeah, we did. That was last week. We're just
I work
jumping
in
We
into
were
it
here
this
last week, Dink.
week. Oh, well, okay, whatever. Or sorry, 3 weeks ago. So, yeah, I mean, they don't know that you're a host of a D&D group. If you want to plug that and talk about it, feel free.
yeah, that's my my gaming credentials. My gaming credentials aren't even computer based. I'm a dungeon master. So
Well, don't say
expert-
that. Don't say that.
Yay!
Shortly
That's what
after,
we're called.
shortly after we met, what did we do? I think it's
Sucked each other's
ingenious.
dicks.
Yeah, after that,
Oh, right.
What? I don't remember what we did after.
you and I, shortly after we met. Okay, well, okay, the night that we met was
Had a sleepover.
no, it wasn't at a sleepover. It was at a
Well, we
pig
didn't
roast.
sleep.
It was at a pig roast. Mutual.
You were pig roasting each other. Nice.
Yeah, Derek was the pit or was the pig. I was one of the. No, never mind.
One of the few.
No, I was gonna say I was one hand or I was one side of the spit that he was turning on, but oh man, no, we're not gonna go there.
We're talking about-
we went there.
We're
No,
already there.
Yeah, we're there.
I'm so glad this audio feed is not coming out of my computer because my girlfriend's in the same room.
Right? Well, now she's probably like, and she's
Yeah,
gonna
no,
she's
I'm
gonna
getting-
listen
I'm
to this
getting an
later.
eyebrow. Yeah, but she can dig into it.
Yeah,
later.
she'll find all kinds of shit. No, we had a mutual family members. I want to say. Well, I mean, Uncle Kerry really isn't technically related to my family, and I don't think he's technically related to your family, but Carrie and Rhonda
No.
are basically family for both of us, right?
I don't. Is Rhonda still in the picture for? And wow, this is super interesting to anybody listening. But yeah, no, we have a lot of common family friends.
Yeah. I mean, my dad and your dad both grew up with the same, like, mutual friend.
Yeah, no, us meeting was inevitable, and even if we hated each other, we would still bump into each other all the time. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It was just more convenient that we didn't hate each
I'm
other.
so glad that we get along, because if not, this would have been just a shit show.
Every time our parents would have, like, went to hang out with each other, be like, all right, we're gonna go to,
Oh,
we're
no.
gonna...
That fucking
We're gonna
guy,
go to
see?
Dave's and visit with Derek and Dave, and oh god, fucking gotta see that guy again. God, can we just leave me at home? Like, no, it would have been all kinds of awkward. But luckily, we hit it off. And so the first time we met was at one of these pig roasts, and they happened semi-annually, like twice a year or whatever, right? So, I guess our parents like bumped into each other there and were like, hey, I haven't seen you since high school, blah, blah, blah. And, then they started hanging out a lot more, which meant we get to hang out a lot more. And my dad threw not like a party, but kind of like a get-together. So your mom and dad were there. Not my mom and dad were there, obviously. And a couple other mutual, like, family friends of ours both were there. And both of our parents, like my parents and your parents, are both very much like... I remember I was like, what?
You can say alcoholic.
10?
It-
No,
it's
they
fine.
no, not alcoholic. I mean, they like their booze, but they're not alcoholic. But I'd say like, we were probably what, 11, 12 when we met? Very young. No, a little older than that, maybe.
Little when I met,
Yeah. So,
referring to incident with Wes and Skype.
yeah. So that's the party I'm referring to, by the way. So there was like.
I was 14.
Yeah, okay, so you were 14, I would have been, 15, 16, whatever it was. This was, like, maybe a year after we met or whatever, and our parents had started to hang out a lot more. And they were both the types of parents that if we were hanging out in the other room and we decided to go in the kitchen where they're all hanging out and drinking and having a good time, and I said, hey, Mom, Dad, can I have a drink? They'd be like, yeah, sure, what do you want? And I'd be like, just being a smart ass, be like, I want to have a Caesar or a mudslide or whatever, and my mom would make it for me and be like, there you go, and, like, they weren't, like, irresponsible, but like, here, drink your face off, even though you're, like, barely a teenager. But it was very much, like,
It was
they would give us...
environment.
Yeah, they would give us a drink
mean,
or two, and, that'd
What
be
they
it for
did
the
is
night.
they took away the taboo factor.
Exactly. It
yeah.
didn't... when we got to the point where we were, middle of our teenage years, we weren't going out and drinking and getting into a bunch of trouble because we already knew what drinking already was. And we were like, yeah, it's fun, but don't overdo it because you can get in trouble. So...
Well, hold on a second. No, I specifically remember events that completely contradict that. But
we'll get to that.
I won't lend any invalidity to your statement.
Yeah,
Right.
fair enough. But for the most part, you could say that's true. And
Okay.
so this one night, probably about a year after we had first met, the four family friends and your parents, my parents were all hanging out, and you and I were playing. I don't know what game we were playing. We're probably playing video games.
You
of
were
some
playing. No,
kind.
I remember this. It was you were trying to get me to play hardcore on Diablo 2. It's
Oh, yeah,
exactly
right.
what.
And I was like,
Yeah.
dude, check this out. And you're like, no, I don't want to lose a character and then be upset and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever. So eventually we're like, hey, you want to go get a drink, see if our parents will let us? And you're like, oh, yeah, they will, I'm sure. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we go in, the kitchen, and my mom, like, looks up, and she's already half drunk. And, my dad's hammered, your dad's hammered, your mom's kind of doing that tipsy, giggly bit that she does. And
God.
your mom's a hoot, by the way, when she's hammered. I love your mom. Just saying, she's just hilarious. But
Please move on.
yeah, we're gonna move on before I embarrass you too much. So both of our moms kind of look up at the same time. And they're like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" We're like, "Hey," and then my parents, they love to embarrass me by saying all kinds of fucking. We'll get to examples, but this specific. I remember it because it's so funny because it's like the first time I ever had a drink outside of like family dinners or whatever where there's a bunch of people there and they're like, oh, hey, do you want a drink or whatever? And I'd have like some champagne or one drink. This is our first night of me ever getting drunk, and your first night ever drinking, if I'm not mistaken. And
I had dipped my toe in with like a beer before, but nothing like this.
So I had never really been drunk before, and you dipped your toes in. So, we go into the kitchen, and they're like, oh, hey, what can we do you for? Because that's their thing. My parents are always like, what can we do you for? We're being witty. No, you're not. You say that to a child. It's just creepy. So we're like, hey, we came in to get a drink. And, my dad and your dad, almost the same time, we're like, oh, what are you drinking? Hopefully it's something good. And I go into the fridge and, go grab a Coke. And, you went to get, root beer or something. And my dad's like, you better be putting rum in that. And I'm like, yes, sir. So I grab a cup. I pour the Coke in it. I grab the rum.
No. Wait. You can. Hold on. I was standing there during this whole thing, so I'm gonna amend what you said. You didn't grab a cup. This is the time when the Halo games had come out, and you'd gone to the theater, and you were collecting the Halo Edition cups.
Yeah.
So you had those giant ass
big old fucking bastards.
Basically Slurpee cups.
So you didn't mix a cup for a drink for me.
Yeah,
you mixed me what.
Well, okay, no, I know what you're getting to, and we'll get to that after, because that wasn't until a little bit later. That wasn't until about an hour later. So,
oh, dear God.
So, yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself. Settle down. So, we're there, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I grab, a can of Coke and pour it in there, and in this cup, it looks like nothing, right? Because, it's a giant-ass Slurpee cup, and I put a can of Coke. And my dad, makes a smart-ass comment, hey, you better be putting rum in that, so I'm like, oh, sure. And then, so... Then your dad speaks up and he's like, how many fingers are you putting in? And I'm like, fingers? What are you talking about? And if you take your hand, ball it into a fist, and put it on the table. Okay? Now stick out your pinky and your pointer finger. That's a 2-finger drink. That's like
for our family.
That's like a 5 or 6 ounces of alcohol.
Just why I very lightly sprinkled the word alcoholic in there.
Now, again, these are Slurpee cups. So they're probably 24 ounces for a whole cup. So instead of just normally being 5 ounces, this is now like 8 ounces of alcohol, or even more. It's a lot, because it's a fucking large cup. And at the end of the show, I'll probably, I'll turn on my webcam and show anybody who's interested the size of the cup, because I still have it. So, huge-ass fucking cup. We've got, your dad was like, how many fingers are you gonna put in there? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, is it a 2-finger drink? And then he does that, shows me what he meant, and I'm like, haha, no, and I just poured a little bit of rum in mine. And then, your dad was like, what are you having with yours? Your rum. And you were like, oh, I was just gonna have root beer, and he's like, root beer and rum? That's not very good. So you were like, oh, whatever, I like root beer, it's better than Coke, and he's like, whatever, man. So we both get our drinks, and we fuck off. Now, again, keep in mind, there's like 4 or 5 ounces of liquor in these drinks, and we down them pretty fucking quickly, and about half an hour, 45 minutes later, we go back to get another drink. Now, at this point, because both of us had never really been drunk before, we're expecting to go in there and just grab a can of Coke and not have to relive that whole conversation again. Sure enough, I go in there, and my dad's like, oh, back for more, you little alcoholic, and I'm like, no, I'm just grabbing a Coke. He's like, oh, somebody's a pussy, and I'm like, okay. I'm not going to just listen to this. So I grabbed more rum. And I made myself another rum and Coke. Derek had another rum and root beer or whatever you were drinking. And that was it. And then we went off and played more games. Now, at this point, we're 2 drinks in, we're hammered. Because first time ever drinking, whatever. Not like drinking, but... Yeah,
and we were just sitting there, we were just sitting there pounding these back, and this is in the span of a couple of hours.
And then I don't know why, but this is probably we would let them sit for probably 2 hours or something like that. After we had drank, we kind of sat there and we were playing games for 2 hours, and then we were thirsty again. Again hours later. So we're like, all right, let's go and get another drink. And at this point, we're thinking okay, we'll just grab Coke or something. No, not even alcoholic. We both weren't thinking alcoholic. We go into the kitchen. One of our family friends had left. The others were still there, and they're hammered. My mom and dad are hammered. Your mom and dad are hammered. And we go in there, and they're like, "Oh, back for round 3, huh?" And it gets progressively worse throughout the night, and we're like, no, we're not. And they're like, "Oh, what? You got something against drunk people?" And then like they kind of gave us that look where they're like,
God.
"We're not sure if they're just fucking with us or if they're being serious, so maybe we should play along." So I was like, "All right, fine. I'll make us more drinks, whatever, and we'll just."
I mean, the last thing you want to do when you're drinking at that age is screw it up, right?
Of course.
You want to. Yeah, we were trying to play along and do everything right, and
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to mess up that dynamic because we're like, oh man, we're so lucky that we have parents that are so cool about this, and
Yeah.
okay, so if they're goading you on, you don't back down from that because
Exactly.
I mean,
because you
in
never
their
know, that could
mindset-
never happen again. You know?
Exactly, and I mean, it could
I mean,
be.
people never age, right?
I guess.
Well,
So
Well, if you
we're
met
like,
some of our family friends, you know that's true.
Kyle has. Kyle has. He met Joe. Probably the worst one you can meet, but yeah. Actually, I think Joe and Donna were one of the couples. Oh, fuck.
Really?
Yeah.
Lucky.
No wonder that would have been a rough night. So anyway, again, hours later, we're finally like, all right, cool, we're going to go back and, get another drink or whatever. And again, we weren't thinking about booze, but the parents were goading us into it, so we're like, we're not going to back down, whatever. We might not ever get this opportunity again, let's do it. So we're like, let's grab more booze. Now, again, like I mentioned, everybody is hammered. So most of the booze is gone and all of the mix is gone. And by most of the booze, I mean like there'd be like a 60 of vodka, a 60 of rum, a 60 or like a 20 of tequila, and some cans of beer if your dad's like Lucky 7 or whatever he was drinking. My parents
Yeah,
had
well, my
Bud.
dad was known. My dad's a big guy, and he would sit down in a sitting of drinking in the evening, and he would do a 40 for himself. That was what
Yeah.
he would bring.
Yeah. So
he
it
has
was
since not been able to do that, but
right. I mean, you get older, right? So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, well, So I don't mean all the booze was polished off. I just mean as far as my parents' terms and later in life, my terms now, once the bottle's about a quarter or less, the bottle's done, essentially. I mean, you'll probably put it in the cupboard, and next time you're like, oh, fuck, I don't really want to go buy more booze. Do we have anything? Oh, sweet, I got like a quarter of a bottle of vodka in here. Cool. So you'll drink that. So, for all intents and purposes, they were done drinking for the night. They're all hammered, and I'm like, cool, they're all hammered. Like, they're not going to notice what we put in this. We can make whatever we want. We'd both been drinking rum. Okay? And most of the mix is gone. There's like a eighth of a bottle of Coke, an eighth of a bottle of Pepsi, maybe an eighth of root beer, and there was some like Lipton brisk iced tea or whatever, the soft drink, and there was a bunch of other like mixes, but none enough for a drink. So me, because at the time I was a douche, I was like, well, I'm gonna get my drink.
Well,
so I took the Coke.
You were a douche, but you were also in this mindset that you thought you were being so funny and so clever. And
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I gotta get my drink. So I'm making my drink. Oh no, we're out of Coke. Okay, I'll just use the rest of the Pepsi then. So I got Coke, Pepsi, and rum. And Derek's like, okay, now what about me? And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, we gotta get you a drink. Okay, well, I used up almost all the rum. So I put the rest of the rum that's in there, maybe 2 ounces or so. Oh, fuck, we're out of Coke. Oh, we're out of Pepsi. Okay, root beer. You like root beer? Oh, man, there's not a lot of root beer left. Okay, well, what else do you like? Well, I like Sprite. Okay, well, let's put that in there, too. And, once we start putting in Sprite, and then, the fucking Lipton iced tea. And the root beer, and again, this is like 4 or 5 different types of soft drinks. And then I'm like, okay, well, now there's like maybe 20 ounces of mix in here, and there's only like 3 or 4 ounces of booze. The math doesn't add up. The ratio's all kind of wonky. Let's add some more booze. And you're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, well, what do you like? He's like, I don't know. I've never really had anything. My dad let me have a beer with him one time. I said, that was good. I've been drinking rum tonight. I'm like, oh, well, have you ever had vodka? He's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's like water, just a little bit harsher. Like, it's nothing to it. There's not really a taste. And he's like, okay, put that in. So, okay, no, wait, you didn't actually say put it in. I was like, yeah, here, try this. So I poured vodka in there, and then all the vodka was gone. I'm like, well, fuck, there's still, like, I feel like I took all the booze, and now there's nothing left for him, so I'll put a little bit of tequila in there too. So if you're keeping track, this drink is iced tea, Sprite, root beer, like Orange Crush, maybe some sour cream or not sour cream, some, what's that fucking pink crush drink?
Oh, yeah.
Cream soda.
Cream soda.
Cream soda.
Yeah.
So, and there's also some cream soda in there, and maybe...
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
bunch of...
yeah.
It's like six
It's like
different...
mud swamp or whatever the fuck they used to call it.
Yeah,
We're not
that's
even there
Slurpee.
yet.
Yeah. And there's vodka, and there's tequila, and there's rum, and the drink still wasn't full. So I was like, okay, well, there's a beer here on the counter, so yeah, I'll just put that in there too. So now we both got our full drinks. We go back to play games. I'm drinking
just for a frame
mine.
of reference, if you've ever made a drink that had milk in it and gotten it wrong, you get that look that looks kind of bumpy, like bad milk.
Like it started to curdle.
Like it started to curdle for all you laymen's out there. It curdled.
Yeah.
It looked like that,
It looked like a
and
swamp.
it was so just absolutely putrid. But I was so excited because I was like, I was game for this, and I was already
Yeah.
drunk, so it's like, hey, wow, this is a good idea.
I had a great night.
I
My
I'll
drink.
let you keep going.
My
Yeah, you
drink
just-
was awesome. So then we go back and we play video games. I don't remember much after that point, except like small parts of the night from that point.
I'll say I remember where I came to.
So do I.
I know that night we didn't sleep.
Nope.
That we just it was a sleepover and it rounded out
Yeah.
to us just being out through the whole night. Oh god.
I remember
We were playing
intermittently we were playing like Diablo, and then we were playing like
Midnight Club 2 when
Oh,
it
yes,
just came
love
out,
that game.
and we were trying to race the SUVs, which if you've ever done is the stupidest thing you could ever do. I don't know why the fuck they were in there. It was totally broken.
Yeah.
What a dumb game. Anyways,
The weight transfer in that game was so realistic. It wasn't.
oh,
Yeah. So
trying
basically
to drive a tank at 200 miles an hour.
at points I remember coming to and we're playing like Midnight Club or GTA or Diablo or something, and I'm having a great time. You know, I'm way fucking drunk, and as you can imagine, I'm blackout drunk at this point because I don't remember much of the night. But I do remember small parts, mostly playing games, and then I remember where you came to and where I finally came to and almost snapped completely fucking sober. And it's kind of that moment, if you've ever been drinking and then like you really shouldn't, and then your parents like bust you or your girlfriend busts you and you're like, oh fuck, and you immediately sober up. I kind of had one of those moments where I came to, we were both sitting in front of the toilet puking. Same toilet. You had your like cheek on one of the toilets
on the rim.
on the one
God.
side on the rim, and I had my cheek on the other side of the rim. And if we both like didn't,
If ever was there a bonding moment,
Yeah.
which is actually, now that I'm recollecting it, I have met like the closest people in my life. We have bonded over sharing a toilet to vomit in.
yeah, it was
Which
some
makes-
gnarly
Ugh.
shit. Yeah,
Which makes me sound like the best upstanding person in the whole world.
yeah.
So thanks for that.
Yeah. So that's like one of the first times we ever met. But no, going back to the whole like your credentials are only. Yeah, I'm gonna bring it back. So going back to your only credentials are D&D. We did play a lot of games growing up, like all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
that's true. But I would
I s-
consider myself casual.
but I would
So
still say that maybe now you're casual, but at the time, you and I did some crazy shit that, like, now is like, well, I mean,
That's fair.
that sounds fun. You know, that sounds like an okay thing to do. I remember one time we went to your place. My parents and me, my sister went to wherever she was going, and we went over to your place. And you had a in your dad's place. I think I don't know if he ever sold the house. You still have a place, I imagine.
Yeah, he sold it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fucked
Yeah,
up.
that's long gone now.
Way to go, Dave.
Someone redecorated, and now the whole yard is full of wolf statues. It's super,
That's
super
creepy.
modern.
It's kind of creepy.
It's
Okay,
so
well, so anyway, your basement was like your room and like the kind of like games room, I guess. That's where you had your TVs. Yes, plural. You had your game consoles. You had like a pool table down there, which I don't think I ever saw the surface of the pool table. There was always like shit on top of it. Just
Yeah.
for the record.
Yeah.
And
I cleaned it up when I was
yeah.
Yeah. You go ahead.
So, one of the things that I always like cling to fondly is I remember this one night. It was supposed to be just my parents and your parents visiting, and they brought me along because you were going to be there, and, you know, like, oh, you can play with Derek, well, you know, we're hanging out, and, you know, it'll just be a couple hours or whatever, and it turned into like, 2 o'clock, my parents were going to leave, and I'm like, I don't want to leave, and they're like, alright, won't sleep over then, it's fine. And I was like, sweet, and so I got to stay the night or whatever, but during that night, we didn't sleep. This is a recurring thing, we don't sleep, but,
Yeah.
you had, like, Lego, I think it was called Connects or something like that, where you could have like a battery connected to your Lego and it would operate certain things.
No. What I had was Connect sets and like those little motors, so you could make something with some wheels
Right.
move.
And,
I
well,
had a bunch of Lego and a bunch of duct tape.
right. Okay, so we had Lego, duct tape, and this Connect set that allowed us to make almost like mechanical arms that would rotate the PlayStation 2 controller left analog stick in a circular motion. Okay? And that motion, we were playing Final Fantasy X. No, X2, Little Girly Dress
X2.
Up. Yeah, X2, Little Girly Dress Up. So, the stick would run around in circles in the overworld. But when it got to the actual fight, we had set up all the... I can't remember what it's called, but you know how you can like set up like... almost like an automated boss or automated like battle setup. If your health got below blah, they would transform into white mages and heal. If your health was above blah, they would attack. So you could essentially automate your battles in that game.
It was botting before botting existed.
Exactly.
It was literally physically manual botting.
Exactly. So we
way ahead of its
created
time.
this little mechanical arm that would rotate the left analog stick in the overworld to make sure that the character was still moving, so it would still get into random boss battles, and the right analog stick we just left it alone. And then we had another arm that would repetitively press down on X. And we had all the shit set up so that it would automatically execute every turn.
And it essentially turned into Final Fantasy X2, the TV show.
Yeah.
Of grind.
And we
Which
spent
was
way
7 before its time.
Yeah,
This
spent,
was before people were streaming shows online.
Yeah,
This was we wanted to watch a show that was gaming, and you and I had that conversation at the time that we wanted to watch a TV show that was gaming, and we're like, oh yeah, that's such a good idea, because at the time it wasn't a thing.
Yeah, I mean, there was small glimpses.
Video and
like
Arcade Top 10.
Video and Arcade Top 10 was a show around the time, but it was mostly like a game show where they played like video games for 5 minutes, and then they'd talk about the new games that are coming out, and they'd do reviews, and then at the end of the show they'd like cut back for 5 minutes at the end of the game to see who won the challenge or whatever. But there wasn't like dedicated game content where you could sit there and watch somebody play. So we essentially made a bot that would grind in Final Fantasy X2, and we just grinded
It
there
allowed
and
us
sat
to
there
watch a video game
for like
as a
6
spectator.
hours or something insane.
We were so marveled at ourselves. We had perfected it.
Yeah.
We had figured this out. I remember we wanted to go get Slurpees, so we left it on, got Slurpees, and came back, and it was still grinding.
We're like 8 levels higher or whatever. Like, oh my god, it
beautiful.
worked, and we were so proud of ourselves, and it was amazing. So that is the one
Spent
thing that
so much time on that.
that's the one thing that I always like recall like in my mind whenever you're like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just known for D&D. This, you know, it's all I do, blah blah blah. No, motherfucker, don't cut yourself short. That was ingenious.
Okay, that's on my gaming resume then.
Yeah.
Created a manual bot back in the day.
Right.
I get hipster gamer credentials from that.
So that's Derek. That's his intro. An hour later.
Just an hour later. Your guys are all caught up now. There's nothing else between when I was 14 and now being just about 27.
And that's it for episode 2. So see you guys next. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We used up all our time on Derek's intro. No, we're still good for a bit.
So the only thing people know about me is that I just build to cheat, and then just drink into oblivion.
And then puke. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I can live with that.
But I mean, that all aside, real talk for a second though. I don't have a brother, but if I did, it would be Derek.
You're so
like-
lame.
I know. Super lame here though. I do just have to put this out there. Like, I'm not typically a
I
person
mean,
that has
pig roasting
like.
brings people really close together.
Yeah, totally does. Especially if you're the pig. Oh, oh God. How together can you be when you're balls deep? This joke is gonna become a thing. People are gonna think. No. But no, I'm typically not a person that has like best friends or like rank their friends in order or whatever. But generally, like, I've got a circle of friends, and then I've got one that I guess you could say I like that friend the best. You could call that my best friend, which is Kyle. And then, like, I don't even consider Derek a friend. Don't take that the wrong way, because because I consider
Rank one.
because I consider him a brother.
Yeah, you didn't even need to set your whole guild on it to get that rank 1.
Call back from fucking week 1, Kyle. Get wrecked.
Yeah, I listened to that episode.
Yep.
It was actually rank 14. You fuck.
Ugh.
So we're fighting
Sorry.
the first real boss in the game. We got a pack of wizards. They can spawn anywhere from 2 wizards to 4 wizards. We got unlucky with 3. Just so a little bit of commentary there for the stream.
That made me switch back to the stream because I was just sitting here playing with
Yeah.
a cat.
Zach's getting wrecked, dude.
Yeah, it happens.
1 wizard down. Zach's dead. Fuck. God damn it. Yeah, so I mean, that was my like real talk for the moment. But that's you know.
Well,
So-
no,
so
and
people
I
kinda
do
have
the
a
same
history
thing,
now.
and there's credentials for that. And what it is if you don't see someone for a year, and then you do see them again, and you pick up exactly where you left off.
Like mid
That's what
conversation.
that's. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And I mean, we've been able to do that because there's been a couple times, obviously, people drift apart, people's lives are busy, where like I'll be hanging out with you or something, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, dude, I gotta go do this something." Like in the middle of our conversation, I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, go do your thing. It's all good." And then we won't see each other for like 8 months, a year, or whatever. And then I'll be like, "Oh fuck, Derek, long time no see." And you're like, "Yeah, man. Hey, how's it going? How's things?" But like, not bad. Okay, so I just want to say, you know, with regards to blah, 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 and we're right back into that fucking conversation.
It's true, and I mean it's that's what the credentials are for what you were
Yeah.
talking about. So I appreciate that
Yeah.
you are that kind of person. You can just pick it up,
Yeah.
and then it's not a big deal. I had this same conversation with somebody very recently, and they said, "I don't want to see you every day because what the fuck are we going to talk about?"
Right.
But I mean, I guess you see Kyle all the time, right?
Every day.
Nope, I'm a
Well,
ghost.
same. Kyle's
He's a figment of my imagination, actually.
I'm a hologram.
I'm actually Edward Norton, and he's Brad Pitt.
Nice.
chunky Brad Pitt.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait, does that mean that Zach's Marla?
I guess. I mean, it could be
That
worse.
even make me.
Maybe
Edward
his
Norton
boss?
didn't have a brother.
Was... No, that's true.
One day you're gonna snap and just keep punching yourself in the face in front of me,
Yeah.
and then just leave my house with all of my computer equipment.
Oh god. For those of
That's
you that are too
ridiculous.
young to get the reference, go watch Fight Club.
And then
We
watch
don't,
it
we
again.
don't talk about that.
Rule number 1, you don't talk about Fight Club.
You're doing
So
it
we-
right now.
I know, we've already broken it. That's also rule number 2 and 3. Fuck! Broke 3 rules in 1. Oh, man. Poor Zach, he's
Well, that's what
dead,
happens
man.
when you start drinking at 16.
Yeah. You become an alcoholic for life. We're fucked, man. Where did our lives go wrong? I can pinpoint the day.
We told a 20-minute story that nailed it down to a moment on a toilet seat. We
Yeah.
got that out.
It's etched in stone forever. I mean, it's on the
Well,
internet.
now it is. I mean,
it
once
is.
it's uploaded to the internet, it's done. It's permanent.
Yep. There's no way you're getting it
The
back.
one thing that's gonna make it to the aliens and inscribed in stone tablets on their planet as it echoes through the void of space is going to be our faces on the rim of a toilet at 3:00 in the morning.
I wish, honestly, before my mom like woke us up and be like, "Hey, are you guys okay?" Like the next morning, I wish she would have taken like a picture with a Polaroid or something.
In that one instance, I would have been okay with that.
Because,
even though
dude,
it's incredibly compromising.
Yeah, but even now, like I would take that and put it on a T-shirt, and every time I saw you, I'd just be wearing that shirt. Just because, like, I mean, thing is, like, and this kind of goes back to like life and stuff. Like, you can't live with regrets, right? You're gonna end up like driving
No, that's
yourself into the
absolutely
ground.
true.
So that's like one of the days where, as much fun as it was, you know, like we probably shouldn't have done it, but I don't regret it because it helped me develop into who I am, right? It helped develop our bond. and
Wait,
all that
I
shit.
have a moment that I know you regret, and I'm gonna do a callback because you and I used to work together occasionally at your dad's farm because I worked for your dad and you worked for my dad. And it's gone back and forth.
Oh, before you tell this though, one thing.
Hmm?
You know how I was the first person to get you hammered, wasted, fucking throwing up drunk?
Yeah.
You are not the only person that shares that honor, if you can call it that. Somebody else who's also in the call is also a victim of mine.
You're getting some rep.
Yeah.
That's your credentials you're bringing to the group.
Well, you just reminded me by saying that we worked together,
Corrupter of souls.
because Kyle was that one. Ice-T,
Oh,
man.
wait a second. No, I remember this very, very.
Yep.
You used to call him Short Bus.
Yep.
You used to call me Short Bus.
Everybody
Yeah,
did.
well.
It was your online handle at the time.
I remember that because you hadn't shown up to a party yet, and we were waiting for you because I had only heard of you by reputation.
He was like a unicorn, a
Never
mythical
seen you.
short bus. Nobody ever saw him.
Yeah. So I leaned
Except for
on that
Jason.
nickname.
That's true.
And I was still a mythical beast.
Yeah.
Well, you still are.
He's
like-
the only one that's like, no, he exists. He exists. Where am I? I'm never there.
Right?
Anyways, callback to when you and I used to work together.
Yeah.
I remember very clearly something that you would regret is we would put the feed out for chickens in barns, and we had those great big white buckets for like 40-gallon buckets or whatever they were, and you were sitting cross-legged on the floor with your head inside of it because the night before
how
you had
much did you
binge drinking
drink?
tequila. It was insane.
Yeah, that was
wasn't the Greek salad, was it?
that was the Greek salad.
You and I worked together that day for 8 hours, and the entire time you spent it on the floor with your head in that bucket, and you had nothing left inside of your body. Nothing. You
and,
were.
and it was only about 6 hours in when my sister came out to the barn and sent me in and did the rest of the work with you.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I saw the inside of that bucket, and I to that point had never seen bile before. That was a revelation of an experience. I didn't know that alcohol could do that to someone's body.
Well, I guess I now have to say it. I was at a LAN party the night before. And, okay, yeah, that would be the one thing I do regret. But actually, even then, like, as shitty as I felt the next day, I honestly
Which was
I don't-
monumental.
It
for
was
a rep.
monumental. It was probably in the top 3 of worst days of my life, and I'm not kidding. Because it threw me off for days. And as bad as I was, Wes was just as bad, just for the record. But the night before, I went to a LAN party with Wes. And Wes is like a mythical beast, sort of like Kyle, in the sense where people in the podcast will probably never hear from him. But they'll be like, wow, this Wes, he sounds like a character, if he continues to come up. And he probably will, because he's involved in a lot of stories in my life. And, yeah, so we went to a LAN party. And it was for a mutual friend that we went to high school with. And yeah, we're all, chilling, having a good time. And I remember they were playing Elder Scrolls. It wasn't Oblivion, it was before Oblivion. So it was the Elder Scrolls before that. Morrowind, I think it was called. Yeah. And they were playing that, and like I specifically remember like walking in, and Wes and I were about 20 minutes late because he was driving, and Wes is a slow driver. But Derek and Kyle both know this about me. When I show up to a party, if the party's already started, I have to catch up.
Yep.
So, quick side note, whenever Derek would throw a party at his place, if I, most of the time I would show up late because I'd have to get off work at 5, then shit, shower, shave, pick up Kyle, and then go there. And then, meanwhile, the party's like half an hour to 45 minutes in. I would have to throw back 3, Irish car bombs to catch up to everybody else who's already, kind of happy drunk. Not like drunk, and they're just happy. So, I would have to catch up. That was my thing. Like, gotta catch up, So, I would go in there and, drink. So I get there with Wes, catch up. Now, I'm not going to say I got hammered right away, because I didn't, but, 2 or 3, quick shot drinks or car bombs, whatever I was drinking, to get back, to catch up. So we're chilling there, and they're playing, and I remember they were trying to kill their horse, which if I remember right, was impossible in the game. Like, you couldn't kill your horse was indestructible. But they were already drunk at that point, so it was like it was like one of those things where they're trying to do the impossible, and it was just funny. And then eventually they're like, okay guys, let's actually play a LAN game. So we started playing Unreal Tournament. And the thing was, every time you died, you had to drink. And I wasn't a very good FPS player at the time. There was very few FPS games that I was actually very good at, one of which was Wolfenstein. Enemy Territory. I won a couple tournaments with that, but whatever. And then as far as,
Humble brag.
Yeah, right. But as far as, FPS games I was nowhere near as good as these guys. So,
fuck you for killing me at the stream.
Yeah, right. Sorry. That wasn't actually me.
Sorry.
That was Astos used rub, and, it killed you.
I was rubbed to death.
You were rubbed. He's a very touchy-feely elf, okay? So, yeah, we're just, chilling, having a good time or whatever, and we killed him. You didn't get the XP, get wrecked. So we're playing, we're playing Unreal Tournament, and I'm getting wrecked, so I keep having to drink. Shortly then after, I run out of vodka, because I had brought a 40 of vodka with me, and me and Wes were sharing it, and, I run out, so I'm like, fuck. And then, after that, we ended up watching a Russell Peters comedy special, and we're having a good time, but I'm out of booze, and another friend of mine was there, and he had brought Bacardi Raz with Coke. So, Bacardi, which is a rum, with raspberry in it. That was the alcohol. And then he also had Coke. So he made that, and he's like, here, try this. And I'm like, oh my god, this is great. Now, when he said try this, I took it, and I took a sip, and I was like, this is great. And I didn't hand back the bottle. He didn't notice. About 30 minutes later, he goes to grab the bottle back, and it's gone. It's empty. He had 3 sips, and then I polished it off during the time of the special. He was laughing too hard. He couldn't, whatever. So I ended up drinking all of it. Then all that was gone, and, another friend was like, oh, hey, we gotta drink all my tequila before, we all leave. And I'm like, I'll help. So I have some of the tequila. Then we go out to a Greek restaurant. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I was like, oh, I'll just get a Greek salad. I'm also not hungry, which was a terrible idea because you never want to drink on an empty stomach, but whatever. So I had Greek salad.
What a Greek salad. That's terrible.
Yeah. Now, if you're keeping track, I've had vodka and rum. And then tequila. And then Greek salad. And then we went back, and on the way back, we hit up a liquor store and got a 24-pack of beer. So, I ended up drinking a lot. I come to, 3 or 4 hours later, puking bile again into his toilet, and his mom is knocking on the door being like, are you okay? And sweetest lady ever. I played WoW with her years later, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. And she's super sweet lady, and she's like, are you okay? Do you need crackers or water or anything? And at this point, I'm still hammered, I'm throwing up, and I'm just at the point where I'm like, fuck it, go away. So I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And she's like, okay, well, try and feel better. 5 hours later, everybody's waking up. Wes and I hit a McDonald's. He was feeling fucking terrible. He's pulling over every 100 meters to throw up. And we go to McDonald's, get some fatty food in us, because we're like, that'll kind of soak up the alcohol probably, right? So, good plan. And so we're like, whatever. So, again, he's puking along the way, but I got to get back because I got to work with Derek on the farm. So, I'm still destroyed at this point.
You were a mess.
I get to the farm, you're already there, and you were already there for like 45 minutes, and you're like ready to go, and my dad's like, where the fuck you been? I'm like, please don't yell at me, and he's like, I'm not yelling. Like, I'm literally, like, he's talking to me like this. And I'm like, stop yelling at me! And he's like, I'm not
Yeah, you had
yelling."
everything going for me. You were sensitive to sound and light and
Yeah.
moving and
throwing up, and yeah.
throwing up. Throwing up made you throw up.
Yeah, and so we ended up going out to the barn, doing the feed. The smell of the feed made me want to throw up even more, and it was just horrible. Horrible day. But that aside, like, I still don't regret it, because it helped turn me into who I am now. I mean, I think that night, I stopped drinking for like 2 years at that point, and then from that
It was
point
a while.
on,
It was
yeah.
a really long time.
And then from that point
I don't know.
on, like, I would go to your parties or, you know, family, other friends' parties or family events and stuff, and I'd drink, and I built my tolerance back up to the point where I like to say, like, what I told my surgeon when I had to get my gallbladder removed, he was like, do you... He's like, so do you drink? And I'm like, yeah, a fair bit. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, how often? I'm like, I don't know, only like 3 or 4 times a year. He's like, oh, that's not bad. I'm like, yeah, but when I drink, and he's like, uh-huh, and I'm like, I drink to win. He's like, what does that mean? And I'm like,
Your doctor never heard of drink to win?
I'm sure he has, but he wanted to hear it from my words. And so I was like, I drink to win, you know, like I gotta win, you know. He's like, what are you winning? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm drinking a win, man. Like, relax, get off my ass. So he's like, okay, do you partake in, you know, BC's finest? Which, if you're not from BC, maybe you won't know, but BC Bud is apparently a quite legendary thing. Rivals that of, like, OG Kush from California or whatever. And, side note, do you know where to get any currently, Derek? Because my hookup, last I heard from, you know, he sold me a couple $100 worth and then disappeared.
Yeah, I'll talk to my guy.
Okay. It's not for me, it's for a friend.
Sure.
It's actually for my sister.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah. No, I told her I'd put a feeler out, so actually let her know. Let me know too, I'll get some too, but yeah, so...
You can't even do it there.
family does.
No,
that.
I'll do it at my sister's house.
And then what? Sit there all night?
Yeah, why not? I'll hang out with my cousin, or my nephew, while I'm fucking baked. It'll be fine.
It'll be fun.
Oh
Yeah,
god.
so we'll just hang
Watch
out.
cartoons together. It'll be great.
Yeah, just get fucking hammered, eat a bunch of fucking vanilla wafers, get high, and just...
Oh, is that
have a
your
good time.
is that your go-to? What's
Yeah.
your go-to?
It's vanilla wafer.
Vanilla wafers.
Yeah. Fuck the
Fuck
chocolate,
no.
it's too
Oops.
sweet, and I don't like the strawberry. But vanilla is my
What I
shit.
found is what's great is get a fruit tray, because then you won't get dehydrated.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Was a pro tip from my source.
Right. Yeah, so, anyway, fuck, where was I in the story?
I think you segued after a segue.
Yeah.
I think you're in the barn or something. I don't know.
Head and bucket.
Everybody's kind of tuning out. Like, fuck, I'm ranting.
Look at him.
I'll probably listen to this later and, like, figure out where I was and kind of, like, get back to
I
it.
told you, head and bucket.
No, it's after that. I'd already segued away from that. I'm on a
Well,
different
don't
string
get
now.
on a Segway.
Yeah, I know. They're hard to stay on, man. Have you ever ridden one?
No, I have.
They're
I'm
crazy.
so glad I've never ridden a Segway.
I was
Now they
on
got
one
that,
for like
that
2 minutes.
new what the hell is that new thing called where it's just 2 wheels on the ground?
Hoverboard.
Hoverboard. Such a bone to pick.
Even though it's not a board and it doesn't hover.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I mean, Marty McFly had a real hoverboard this year in that movie. What the hell went wrong, man?
Actually, I think that was last year,
Yeah. What
2015.
have we done lately?
right?
Nothing.
Well, there's an SNL skit with him on it. With
Really?
with both, yeah, with Doc Brown and Marty were there, and they had come through the DeLorean on the SNL skit, and they're like, "What year is it?" And then one of the audience members like, 2015 is like, "This isn't anything like when we went to 2015 before. Where's the hover
What have we
cars?
done?
Do you guys have hover cars?" And everyone's like, "No." I'm like, "Did blah 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 win the World Series?" "No." "Oh my God, we've changed way too much in the past. It's affected the future." It's actually a really funny skit. So if you can Just go YouTube it later. It's really funny.
I
But
won't, but I'll tell you that I did.
oh, fair enough. Yeah, so
I just got the whole gist of it now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're just like, what is he talking about? Bring it around at the end, and we're good. Yeah, so it's whatever. I completely lost track of where I was in the story, so we're just gonna pretend that story just ends there
Well,
abruptly.
we're basically a PSA ad for memory loss, I guess.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah, right. The surgery. So he was like, "Yeah, do you partake in BC's finest?" And I was like, trying to be a smartass because I'm like 10 minutes away from going into surgery. No, this is my anesthesiologist. So I'm like about to go under the knife. I'm like 2 minutes away, and he's trying to keep me talking as he puts the thing on me, over my mouth to like get me to like breathe and stuff so that I'll go out.
Wait. His chat up line was asking you about your drug use. Like that was his casual.
Yeah, because the doctor I had already told I drank to win. The anesthesiologist was like, "So, what do you like to do for fun?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I go to parties." He's like, "Oh yeah, you drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I drink to win." And he's like, "Explain that." So I did, and then he's like, "Oh, so do you partake in BC's finest?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll be a smartass and like try flattering him because he works in the medical system." So I'll just be like, "Yeah, man, you guys are great. I had to call drove myself to the ER like a couple weeks back when I had a gallbladder attack." And he's like, "That's not what I meant." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know what you meant." And he's like, "How much weed do you smoke?" And I'm like, "Honestly, not that much. I only get high whenever I go to the parties with the friends at the times that I'm drinking to win." And he's like, "Okay, so you're a binge drinker." And I'm like, "Oh, when you put it that way, it just sounds so negative."
Yeah.
Like I'm not a
it's a really
person
harsh
that
term.
drinks on the regular, But eventually, I'll go to a party, and that's my time to cut loose. But apparently, that's worse for you than being a full-blown alcoholic. So they had looked at my liver when I had my surgery. This was, 3 years ago, and they're like, your liver looks like a 40-year-old alcoholic's. And I'm
Fuck,
like,
longer than that. I've had my place for 2 years.
okay, so like 3 years ago then. Point was, he told me that my liver looked like that of an alcoholic of 40 years. And I was like, oh, fuck.
You're
Wow.
mean.
Like,
Yeah.
that's cold. So when I was talking to the anesthesiologist before I went under, I do want to finish the story because it ends on a funny note. I'm sitting there, and he's asking me, and I made that kind of smart aleck kind of, "Yeah, you guys are great." And he's like, "No, weed." And I'm like, "Yeah, a little bit." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "What? No sense of humor?" And he's like, "That's not funny." And I'm like, "Wow, you're a little bit of a dick." And then I went out. And then I woke up 3 hours later, and my
Famous
entire
fact, were you a
torso
little
hurt. I was
sore?
sore,
Oh.
and I no longer had a gallbladder. And I don't know what else he had done. I don't know if he had done anything else. But the last thing I
His fingers
said,
cut.
right? The last thing I said to my anesthesiologist was, "Wow, you're a bit of a dick." And then I woke up in recovery.
That's great.
Yeah. It was.
Did you
it was
ever
pretty
have
good.
bad dreams after that? Maybe.
No, nothing. So I imagine he didn't do anything because there was like 4 nurses and like 2 doctors in the room as well. Because like I said, we were in the operating room and stuff, so it was pretty entertaining. But it's kind of one of those things, Yeah, as you do.
I mean, what's great about that is that people are real people. So that I'm hoping that one day there was another moment where he was doing that and someone else went unconscious and the nurse turned to him and said, "You're a little bit of a dick, right?"
just a little callback, or have
Just a little callback.
have him at the
I mean-
bar with a bunch of other anesthesiologists, and they're all like, "Oh, hey, dude, did you hear what? No, this story happened to me. This guy shit his pants." But like, "Oh yeah, I had this guy tell me he was a dick, and then he went out." Like, really? And then they tell the story over like a round of drinks. Like, I just picture that that's what happens. I imagine he immediately forgot about it, and I'll never hear anything of it. But I like to think of it, that
Well, I
little
mean-
part.
I think that does happen because I know with every profession that's supposed to not talk about their job does absolutely talk about their job.
Oh, of course.
Like psychiatrists swap stories, and I mean, even regular professions, everybody does it. It's like,
Right.
oh, this happened because it's topical to other people, right?
Right.
Or
course.
to someone in your field. My girlfriend is pointing at herself right now because she has all of these war stories from being a preschool teacher. Can I say the one that you sent me today? I got a text message today that just said, Ryder punched me in the face when I told him he couldn't put his dick on the art table.
Wow.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I mean, is she okay?
Yeah, she's fine. My girlfriend is an absolute champion, but
Oh, I know she
that
is.
stuff happens, I would say, once
She
a week.
works in a fucking haunted school. Of course she's a champion.
Yeah, that's actually a fair statement too. It was a residential school, and if anyone doesn't know what a residential school was, when the English colonized, they didn't like that the natives weren't educated properly, so it was basically an internment camp for native children, and a lot of them died during this process. Because remember when you used to be able to hit kids with sticks in school? Imagine a system like that completely unsupervised. It was that and more. So when she first started working at this school, they were going through and doing the tour, and oh yeah, this is the new addition, and this, and we had these cedar boughs installed over the doors, and she's like, oh okay, and kind of mulling over the significance of that, and then they're like, yeah, it keeps the ghosts out, and totally casual. Oh yeah, what? And they're like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. They're really nice ghosts on this side of the building. Yeah. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd hear somebody say. Oh yeah, ghosts are really nice because they're all children.
So, you're good on that side of the building, but the ghosts on the other side are fucking dicks.
Well, see, then there was some stories for that. You ever been in a room with an animal, and the animal will look at you, but then suddenly look at something else, like in the room, and be staring at it, and then you'll look at that, and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Apparently, children are like that at a young age. I mean, they're not conspiratorial. They can't fake you out. They're not smart enough to be dicking with you. She's had a couple of occasions where she'll be doing something in a particular room on the other side of the building, and the children will stop paying attention to her all at the same time and then simultaneously look at a nondescript point in the room that has nothing that she can see in it. So I'm not even a ghost guy, but her school is haunted as fuck.
That is kind of chilling. I would love to sit in the room, just like audit the class or something, and just sit there and wait for it to happen and be like, what the fuck? Because I would love to see that.
Somebody had a clip of that. It would be the #1 played conspiratorial ghost video. Like just some
it just
of the stuff.
sounds chilling, It sounds crazy.
And she's
It's
a
awesome.
better storyteller than me. I mean, if I had another headset, I'd get her on here.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
oh my God.
maybe in a future episode, we'll
Yeah.
we'll get her perspectives.
she's a better storyteller.
weird.
She's got so much dirt on just. Remember that show, Kids Say the Darndest Thing, and how
Yeah.
it was so adorable that they would say all these adult things. It's combined itself now with the trickling down of just, because now people our age are parents, and
Yeah.
like millennials are parents now, and a lot of them are really bad people, and they're worse people than the last generation, I feel. I mean, if not so, there's more of them. So now there's more worse parenting out there, and it's starting to show, like, pretty significantly. I
Right.
remember it was a big deal. I don't know if this is just me, but when you guys were in school, swearing was a big deal, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, like
I would get
I
in
would-
trouble for saying HE double hockey sticks.
yeah, even saying HE double hockey sticks instead of saying hell was a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
you'd get punished for it. Now, I mean, I don't like saying it, but kids will straight up call you a cunt. Straight up. They will
Oh.
scream it at the top of your lungs. They'll do that, and then they'll whip out their dick on your art table. Like, there is... That's about where the world is at right now.
But it's cute, Derek.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should reboot that show.
Kids
They
do
could
the
do a-
darndest thing. Yeah,
Kids
then that show
actually say the darndest things.
would get shut down immediately for child porn. Like,
Oh god.
oh wow.
Yeah, it's not pretty out there anymore. I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe that it should exist so that it would prevent people from having children. Like some people, when they realize what some kids are actually like, it might be a worrisome, a perfect deterrent.
Right.
That might be. I mean, it'll be better than those speeches you got in school about don't have sex unless you want to have kids. And they're actually seeing what children are like and how they're tiny sociopaths. That, like, literally they are. They don't have the mental faculties to relay empathy. So it's like tiny sociopath.
Right.
They don't develop
Stupid little
those faculties.
dickheads.
Yeah. Dick tables. They.
Oh wow.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents about why my girlfriend is a hero and how I just work a desk job. And if I have a hard day, it is never as bad as her. She's
Good
like, oh,
day.
well, I got punched in the face today, and this kid threw a cinder block at my car.
Wow. Oh, I feel bad for laughing, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't laugh, like,
Yeah.
what can
If
you do, you know?
If you don't laugh, Jason, they win. They
Oh,
win.
God.
The little monsters win.
If the salted nuts are not performing tonight, the terrorists win. Oh, fucking David Cross, dude.
I love David Cross. I like his guest spot on Rick and Morty. If you've gotten into that,
Yep.
solid show.
Loved it.
That's also
Show
a callback.
us what you got.
It's also a callback to the Doc Brown and Marty thing because that's what that's based on,
Yeah.
which is a crazy awesome dynamic.
Yeah.
You should go ahead and ask a question because I'm gonna get up and walk into my kitchen and get food because Jess is eating in front of me and I'm starving to death.
Yeah, no
So-
worries. I was actually going to ask Kyle to, because we've had your spiel and my spiel and Zach's, not even spiel, kind of spiel about what he's done over the last 3 weeks, but Kyle really didn't say much. So, Kyle, what'd you do the last 3 weeks?
I was on vacation.
I feel comfortable walking away at this
Yeah,
point.
you can get him out there. What'd you
I don't get
do? Tell us about it. As much as you
Um,
want to. I mean, obviously, I know about it, but if you don't want to relay some of the information, you don't have to. But
I went to Palm Springs. And it was nice.
how was that?
It was
How
a
was
lot warmer.
America Land?
It was good.
Did you
It was
get
good.
shot?
I love going down there. No. I mean,
I hear that's a
Um,
problem they have.
nope.
Wait.
I'm good. I don't have any holes.
Had to check.
Yeah, just
I
check.
have just as many holes as I started with. We're good.
Yeah, no, it was good. I like going down there.
Yeah.
I like the bang for a buck, even though our dollar's shit right now. The amount of food you get when you go out is amazing.
Well, that's because they're all gigantic, right?
That's what I keep hearing. No, it's good. That's pretty much it.
Counterpoint,
Vacation.
Zach. How do you feel about just being accused that you're gigantic?
I think that's a fair point. America.
No, wait, don't agree with me because I'm gonna cast so much darkness at you that you're gonna have to start fighting me on it.
Well, I mean, I basically live in South Canada, so
South Canada, it's true.
South Canada.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
South
Yeah,
Dakota.
where the fuck is South Canada?
Where the fuck is South Canada? But I live on the border. South Canadian. Is there a new? Did you guys bomb us and take over one of our provinces and I didn't hear about it? Or
no. I mean, North Dakota's just kind of South Canada. I'm in South Dakota, so it's South Canada.
okay.
South Canada. Okay.
Oh, that's
Which,
different. Had you have said that the first time, we would have understood.
Yeah.
Well, I did, but I mumble.
Oh, okay.
Where is that in relation to the provinces? South Dakota. I don't have a map.
It's right in the middle.
Below Saskatchewan.
Oh, you're like right bordered with our rednecks. That's yeah. We have ours in the middle. It's
No, South Dakota's pretty much all rednecks.
Yeah.
that's fun.
Your rednecks are a lot more
Not
fun than
really.
ours.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. What would define fun on that?
I don't know if you can. They're not as racist. Let's say.
Not as Murica.
Yeah.
Well, they're not as Murica,
Well,
but
hold off on that racist thing because I've met some pretty racist Albertans before.
Oh,
okay,
God.
Fair point.
That's the land of the forever sunset and cowboy hats and aviators indoors. Like, that's just the true heart of Canadian redneck. I feel.
Right.
That's because I'm saying that because some of my family is from there, so I have some grief there. Kyle, why did you go to Palm Springs?
Vacation, girlfriend, friends. Why not?
Fair point.
That's fair. I just wanted him to talk more because I feel like I've talked a lot.
I feel the same way, which is
You were
why I
telling
kind of
us
just
about-
letting it go.
You're telling us about ye old times.
Welcome to the Derek and Jason show, featuring Zach and Kyle. Very briefly.
No, it was.
Shut the fuck up, Kyle. This is the Derek and Jason show.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was really tempted to go comedic relief, grab my headset and slam it against my desk and just go, "What the fuck?" Just because.
Oh God.
This was a team effort. Team effort. No, it was.
This is why we can't have nice things.
No, it's a yearly thing. I ended up coming back single. So I mean, ups and downs.
Oh, what?
But yeah, first day, by the way. Yeah, get down there, first night single.
Whoa.
9 days of X.
Oh my God. What? That sounds horrible. How did you not lead with that? You just totally softballed that in there. Oh yeah, I went to Palm Springs. I had a great time. But
Honestly, I
me
don't
and my
think he
girlfriend
was gonna
broke up
say
the first
anything.
day we were there.
I don't think he was gonna say anything about it because that's.
You
I
were
was-
on vacation.
I was giving
you were
him an
on
outlet.
vacation with your ex-girlfriend for 8
No.
days.
Well,
essentially after the
9.
first day.
9. But yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Pretty much.
break up on the flight? Like what?
No,
what
we-
happened there?
Okay.
First night.
So we landed in Palm Springs, went and got groceries, got the alcohol, whatnot, having fun. The third couple that was supposed to come down decided to make it a special surprise for her birthday. And I was the only one that knew about it, so I was like, okay, cool, there's a surprise for her. And I told her, there's a surprise for you in Palm Springs. I'm not telling you what it is or anything. It's there, it'll be there tonight, which is the Friday. They show up, yada yada, we're all having good times, yada yada yada, we're drinking, we get naked. Hey, we're mature adults, we're naked, it's what we do.
Wait.
Orgy, just saying.
Wait. Actually, I was gonna clarify. You just all got naked.
Yes. Okay. If me and select few of my friends are together, we will get naked. Which
All of it.
everybody gets naked. It's just what happens. Especially if there's alcohol.
Kyle, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there that that's not normal behavior.
Derek?
Uh,
Derek.
yeah.
Single or not, is it what happens with me, okay?
Yeah, I'm not. No, hold on. I'm not judging you.
Derek,
Just putting it out
And
there.
Derek's
same
like,
thing.
where was my invite, Dick?
No, I'm okay without seeing Kyle naked, but
Oh man.
No, so anyway, so we were drinking and whatnot. She said something that just really pissed me off. And when I get drunk, I guess I hang on to things sometimes. I guess maybe. Anyway, she said something, pissed me right the fuck off. She leaves. I'm fuming. So I decide, smart me, who's been drinking, I decide to punch the fucking hot tub. Why not?
oh no.
By the way, the hot tub is made of cement.
Ah.
Yeah.
Did you break your hand in America?
No, I did not. Thankfully. I mean, I missed. It was a fair bit of damage, but I didn't break anything. Anyway, so I fuck off because I'm pissed. I'm like, I need to cool the fuck down. So I get dressed, and a couple of the people are like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm fucking leaving. I'm done. So I just walked out, and I just walked around the community for probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. Get tracked down by a friend. We talk, whatever. Anyways, we get back. I'm perfectly fine, like, as if nothing happened. So I get a beer. Yes, I get another beer.
Yeah, that'll solve everything.
I'm 14 beers in at this point, and I grab another beer. It's like nothing happened. She's like, hey, can we talk? I'm like, okay, what's up? And then she's like, I need to focus on me. And I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, what did you do? First night, single, wake up, message Jason. Hey, I'm single.
Yep.
You're so casual about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you were already pretty casual about being naked for no reason because hey, let's just all get naked. Wait, hold on. I want to really address this.
We won't go into it too much unless Kyle wants, but
No.
basically, I knew like the next day, but I've never really liked his ex. She's a bit of a cunt, and I use that word very lightly because I never use that word, but I've just never really liked her. Because, yeah, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Now, so when he told me, I was like, oh, man, good for him. Like, finally, he doesn't have to deal with that shit. So I was kind of happy for him, and I'm like, you know what? Have a good time. Like, do your thing, you know? I'm happy for you, you know, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, all right, that's cool, whatever. So, and we should probably mention that it wasn't a surprise, really, that it happened. Like,
Surprise to some.
Yeah, maybe to most people it wasn't a surprise because I wouldn't say like you guys were like the greatest couple ever, but I wouldn't say that you guys were like constantly giving each other shit or anything like that. Like you guys had your arguments every now and then.
No, we were.
Okay, but it was pretty much constant. But I was trying not to make it seem that bad, Kyle. But you know, like they were still like they loved each other and they were together and huzzah, you know, whatever. It was good times. And you know, so it was kind of like, you know, we kind of knew in advance like something could happen down there because, you know, he's been brewing on it for a while. And in the, you know, purpose of full disclosure, last year before they did the same trip, Kyle was like, I'm done with her, like it's over, but I don't want to ruin the trip, so I'll break up with her when we get back. And then he just never did because I guess he like ended up while they were down there, they had such a good time that he was like, all right, cool, like shit's fine, we'll just move on. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever, I still don't like her, so you should probably still fucking get rid of her. And he's like, yeah, fuck you. And I'm like, seriously though. But so it's been like a thing for like a year where like they've kind of always been like, no, I wouldn't say like at each other's throats because it wasn't like a abusive relationship or anything like that, but it was just kind of like nobody that really knew would have been shocked. You know what I mean?
I'm actually just shocked at the whole naked thing. I don't get
You
that.
still can't get past the naked bit?
No, you said you wanted to address things. What do you want to address?
Yeah.
No, I wanted to bring it back to that point and figure out, like, when was the first time that you got together and you were like, you know what's a great idea? Let's just all take our clothes off. Was this like a what?
Hockey.
Can I get another detail out of that?
Yeah.
The sport hockey. Once
Yes,
you hit a
I'm
certain
aware of
age,
it.
everybody gets naked. They all have a shower. You get fucking used to it. So I was like, fuck it, whatever. Everybody's got a dick. It's just another fucking thing. And then my friends decided to
I just saw your text. Holy fuck. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt. Go on.
So my friends decided to have a toga party. Can you guess kind of where that went?
Apparently. Sounds very fig leafy.
No. I decided, hey, you know what'd be fucking hilarious? If I got that gold ass body paint and had like a little flap on the front and the back, and that's it. Everybody else is wearing toga. I'm gonna be the slave boy, okay?
That's actually pretty cool.
I never got the gold paint because it was fucking expensive, and I'm like, fuck that, I ain't doing that.
Oh, so you were just Tarzan then?
I was yeah, exactly. I was Tarzan, and they're like,
I
you
don't
won't
think you
do
quite
it.
got the theme of that, but okay.
No, they're like, you won't do it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And we were talking about it that day, and the whole time, like, I grabbed just a white shirt that I used to have. I cut it up, I threw a white shoelace in it, I sewed it all together, and ta-da, there was my thing. It covered just enough for my junk and my ass.
For the record, when he says ta-da, that's his thing, he means his penis.
My ta-da.
So, here's the awkward part. his younger sister, who's probably 4 or so years younger than us, decided to have a toga party. Well, she invited her brother and me and his girlfriend and a couple other people, and I'm like, I don't have a toga. And his mom was like, Yes, you do. You like they had a toga party like last week. Why don't you bring that? I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that is not this. Like, I was at the time I was like 20, and they were all like
Teenagers.
17 or so. Yeah, they were in high school. I was out of high school. They were still like grade 10 or so, and I was like, no. Like, I'm like, no. Like this what I wore is not suitable for them. And she's like, oh, don't be such a wuss. Go put it on. So I kept my boxers on, and I was like, okay, all right, you're fucking telling me to do it. Okay, fine. You're not gonna like it. And she's like, just go put it on. So I go and I put it on. And I come back out, and the look on her face, it's like I blew her fucking mind
Priceless.
of what it was. But anyway, so at the toga party, they're like, you're not going to do it, you're going to chicken out. And I'm like, oh, tell that to the fucking sports guy inside. And me, being me from playing hockey, I was like, fuck, like, I got nothing to lose, whatever.
Kyle's very okay in his body, for the record.
Dick behind a flap, ass covered, that's it. The flap was getting pulled up a lot from the girls that were at the party. And all the guys were like, I'm just going to stand over here. And meanwhile, I'm just getting pissed drunk.
I mean, you know what? I think the subtitle of this is Adventures in Drinking. Life Bites Episode 2, Adventures in Drinking.
Yeah,
I'll subtitle the episode, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where it started. And now it's, if I'm with a certain amount of, or certain people, it just happens.
Well,
regardless if
for
drinking
never
or not.
getting drunk at any of my you got drunk. Never getting naked at any of my parties.
Derek?
I appreciate that.
Derek,
Yeah.
I don't have to be drinking.
You know what? That's fair.
I'll do it. I'll do it just because. I get dared, I'll do it.
He will.
I believe you. I'm actually kind of surprised it didn't happen with how many people were there to provoke you.
I think the only person that could have provoked him would have been Dale.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
everybody
he's an
else, like, Dale's very much an instigator, but everybody else would have been like, oh, that'd be funny. And Kyle would be like, yeah, that would. And then they'd leave it at that. Dale's the type of person that'd be like, that would be funny, you should do it. And then Kyle would do
You
it.
absolutely would.
Everybody else would be like, that would be funny. And then they'd walk away.
Turn around, turn back on.
sheepishly.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that is his dick. Holy shit.
Kyle, why are you naked? You just said it would be funny. I mean...
I didn't mean, like, to do it. Well, he did. You did.
And then he'd like walk into the fucking living room, stand up on the kitchen or on the coffee table, and be like, "Hey, everybody! What? This is my penis."
No, Jason. That's just ta-da.
Whatever.
I'd be a helicopter on the coffee table.
And everyone would be like, "What the fuck?" And you'd be like, "Never bring him back." And I'd be like, "I'm sorry." Either that, or you'd be like, "Okay, that was funny. Bring him back."
Yeah. Literally naked.
I hate so much. I fucking hate you.
Oh, fucking shit. That's funny.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm single.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, that whole sentence strung together was windmilling on the coffee table. So yeah, I'm single.
Top that,
There's a couple
Zach.
lined up.
I don't think I can top that.
There you go.
What the fuck you say after that?
Nothing.
That is pretty hard.
That's why I'm trying to segue away from it.
You go ahead.
Well, okay,
Completely
go ahead.
different topic. Did you see Virtus Pro? Their Dota team just got caught cheating in the Summit 5 Grand Finals
What?
or qualifier.
What? Why? How? What? What happened?
Aloha Dance got disconnected at some point, and
Okay.
he evidently couldn't come back. So in secret, no one else knew this was happening during the games. They gave his account information to no one from Vega, and he stood in, pretending to be Aloha Dance for the rest of the games, and some Redditor noticed all his key bindings and stuff were different. So they researched it, and now they got kicked the fuck out. Because they won too.
wow.
Fuck.
So now Ad Finem or whatever is going to the summit instead.
Get fucking wrecked.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Someone was watching so close that, oh man.
That's equally sad and hilarious. I just want to put that out there.
That's social justice, like,
Yeah.
igniting at its finest. Like,
Oh my
holy
god.
shit.
Derek, you like Half-Life?
Super casual, man. Remember? Super.
I'm just saying, like, did you ever play it?
I've watched videos of people playing it.
Jason, did you like the Half-Life series?
Yeah, it was alright.
There's a dude that turned their drone into a city scanner.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah, see, that went right over my head.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Oh, that's fucked up.
The last time I saw Half-Life was a video someone made of the crossbow, and it was done to Cotton Eye Joe, and it was 366 crossbow kills done to the tune of Cotton Eye Joe. And if you've never seen it, you should, because it's so impressive.
Definitely
It's a
gonna
marvel
watch it
of
after this.
video editing.
I'll definitely
It's an
watch it
absolute
after this.
marvel. It's
That's-
like, I can't even remember how many hours the guy said he took to do it, but it's just just type it out into Google, and it's so worth it.
So, again, different topic. So, real quick, I'm not gonna say anything like massive spoilers or anything, but I just want to take this time to say thank you to Derek. It was 7 years, almost to the day, you told me that HBO was doing Game of Thrones. And I was like, what the fuck is
yes.
Game of Thrones? And your pitch to me was, dude, okay, picture this. Like, Dark Ages, like, knights and fucking, like, you know, small folk and all this shit, right? How awesome would society be if they took all the criminals, built a wall, and made them man the wall to defend us against, like, zombies and stuff? And I was like, dude, that would be pretty badass. Because if you don't know much about Derek and I, you can pretty much sum it down to two things. One, whenever we talk to each other, the conversations are very much like this podcast. Very much like unfiltered. We just talk about whatever comes to our minds. Now, one of the things that we've talked about, and I'll briefly touch on it, was we were both high one time and we were talking about, like, dude, you know how fucked up it would be? And, okay, we were really high. I'm going to put that out there again. Because it needs to be said. We were super high.
There's a lot of stories that start with that sentence. That might be its whole sub.
We might have.
It might be week
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, we'll get into that, but I'll just dip their toes into it so they have something to look forward to. But we were super fucking high, and we were like, dude, you know what would have been fucked up? Like, what? Like, can you imagine if Hitler didn't actually do any of the things that Hitler's
story.
blamed for? And I'm like, what do you mean? And you were like, can you
I should
imagine
explain.
if... Well, no, we'll
my-
explain into deeper,
Okay.
like, later on. Don't worry about that. But you were like, it would be crazy if, like, you know when he went to prison for, like, the whole, like, beer hall push thing? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's history. Of course I know about that. I'm a huge history buff. And you're like, yeah, what if, like, the guy that he was in the cell with had, like, all these, like, anti-Jewish, like, ideas and stuff, and, like, Mein Kampf wasn't written by Hitler, but it was written by this guy, and, like, and I think we named him, like, Joe or something, and, like, and he's like, what if it was all,
Casual
like,
name.
what if it was all, like, Joe's idea, and then Hitler just, like, took that as a platform, and then, like, did this whole thing? And so we were, like, thinking about it, and one idea turned into another idea, and we turned into this whole, like, alternate history of our Earth of what it would be like if Hitler actually wasn't a bad guy, but had just stolen, like, his political platform to get into power, and then once he was in power, all his, like, underlings used his power in order to put, like, the final solution into, like, actual doing, and he was like, he couldn't stop
it was
it
even
because he was
worse
a
than
puppet.
that. It was so much worse than that
Right.
because we didn't even do it as an alternate history. We rewrote it as he was being the victim and he was stuck in a political position after
Where, like,
uniting Germany.
he couldn't
was
come
stuck
out and
and
be
regretted
like-
it, but he couldn't escape this. So he was
Yeah.
the scapegoat for the Holocaust. And
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, anyways, we will
the
talk
title,
about.
the title of it was Hitler Didn't Do It. And it was.
I mean, it's a terrible thing to think about, so I'm not going to go too much on the topic, but that's the type of shit that we talk about whenever we're just shooting the shit. So when he called me out of the blue and he was like, hey, what do you think about this as a society? And I'm like, dude, that'd be totally badass. Because one of the reoccurring things that we always talk about, Derek and I, is when we eventually take over the world. It's very much like Pinky and the Brain. So
We're both megalomaniacs.
yeah, and so it's one of those kind of funny things that we always revert to, and it's like, dude, when we take over the world, this is the one thing we got to get rid of. And he's like, fuck yes, we totally got to get rid of hipsters. And I was like, yes, we'll execute them all in the street. It'll be amazing. Like some like crazy shit that's never gonna fucking happen, but if it did, it would be hilarious. Yeah. So we're like, okay, well, huh? What?
Oh, sorry, my cat jumped in on my mic and now has her claw lodged in my mic.
Yeah, so we talked
we
about
go.
shit like that. So when he came up with like, hey dude, how would this society be? And I'm like, dude, that'd be totally badass. And he's like, well, guess what? I've got a book you need to read. I'm like, what? Nice segue, Derek. And he's like, yeah, no, seriously, check out this book. It's called, the series is called A Song of Ice and Fire. The first book is called A Game of Thrones. And I'm like, okay. So I went to the bookstore, bought all 5 books that were out at the time, fell in love with them. Then, he's like, as soon as I finished the books, he was like, guess what? And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's coming to HBO in 3 months. And I'm like, what? Oh my god! And he's like, guess who's playing Eddard Stark? And I'm like, it's gotta be Sean Bean. And he's like, it's Sean Bean. And I was like, what? So we totally freaked out, nerd session. So, and we're like, sweet. Anyways, but I told you all that, to let you know that as much as I love Derek for introducing me to that, fuck you, Derek, for introducing me to that. Because I can be a little bit obsessive at times about certain things, so when I find a subject that I like, I dive in. So, for example, with Game of Thrones, I love the books. I love the whole Song of Ice and Fire. I love the TV series. I like how it's different from the books. I don't like how it's different from the books. Like, it's a very good series, and I like it. Now, I'm not, like, the type to go to, like, message boards and be like, what would it be like if Ramsay had married Arya instead of Jade Poole? Talking about the books, not the TV show. I know who Sansa, blah, 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 but in the books, it's totally different. I'm not like that, but I will get to the point where, I'll go to the Wiki of Ice and Fire, and I'll be like, oh, fuck, because I'm rereading the books now, or more specifically, listening to the audiobooks, because I can't read at work, so, don't have the time. So I'm listening to the audiobooks all over again, and, they'll say a character, and I'll be like, fuck, who was that again? So I'll go to the Wiki of Ice and Fire, and I'll read up on that character.
Because there's 80 million characters in the book that we don't have in the show.
So many. There's so many. But even in the show, there's like a fraction of the amount of characters in the show, and the part where I was like, fuck you for introducing me to this, is because I'm a little bit obsessive with topics like that. I'll go in and I'll learn, like, somebody asked me, I think it was Kyle that asked me, like, before he went on vacation, he's like, so how many of the direwolves are still alive? And I'm like, in the books or TV show? He's like, I don't know, both. And I'm like, 3 in the books, 2 in the TV show? And he's like, oh, okay. And then, that's me, again, looking over, a Wiki of Ice and Fire for the next, like, hour, trying to figure out if I was actually accurate with that or whatever. So, I'd read into it.
It's 2 in the books. Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2. No, it's 3.
And then it's 2 in the show. Nymeria is rumored, but not shown. And
Nymeria is alive, Ghost is alive, Shaggy Dog was alive until last week, and Summer was alive until last week.
See, I think that's a farce.
So it was
a farce.
I do think that that Shaggy Dog's still alive as well, but
yeah.
Dinks.
But Summer's definitely
Spoilers,
dead.
bro.
They showed that, and Nymeria is still alive. Yeah, spoiler alert, whatever. It's not a huge spoiler. It's nothing that's gonna it's not like me saying Ned Stark gets beheaded in the fucking 7th episode.
What if somebody's curious?
Yeah,
Everyone
but
dies at the Red Wedding.
Yeah, everyone dies. Dude, when you told me, when I was like in the first book, and I was like, dude, this is awesome, you're like, wait till you get to book 3. I'm like, what happens in book 3? And you and Dale and Pepper and a bunch of other people were like, dude, you haven't read it? And I'm like, no. They're like, dude, Red Wedding. And I'm like, what happens at the Red Wedding? They're like, don't look it up, wait till you read it.
Nope, just wait for it.
Red Wedding. And I'm like,
because you're cringing the whole time, like,
I'm like,
oh my
something
God.
has to happen. And it's so much more badass in the books, because there's obviously more detail. They had limited screen time, so, they couldn't do it justice in the show, which I think they still did a very good job, but it wasn't quite there.
They nailed it. They totally nailed it.
But the one thing that's really bugged me, and I can't get over it. Okay, there's 2 things. First off, changing names of characters. Now, I consider this, the reason why I said one thing at first is because it kind of is one thing. Dumbing it down for the audience. 1A, changing names of characters.
Yep.
They changed Asha Greyjoy to Yara, that is Theon's sister. Okay?
Yeah.
Asha is different than the wildling Osha, which is the wildling that tries to kill Bran for the horse in season 1, and they end up taking her captive, and then she ends up being like the companion that goes with Rickon to go to see Wyman Manderley with the unicorns on Skagos. Yeah, there's actually
Blah blah
unicorns there.
blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting to it. So the part that really bugs me is the whole dumbing it down. Do they not think that people can tell the difference between Osha and Asha?
People are
Yes.
dumb.
Absolutely, they think that.
Okay, fine. Dumb down the names. Fine. Okay, you have to tie up some storylines, so you have to include Talissa Stark at the Red Wedding. Her name wasn't fucking Talissa, just saying. But that's whatever. That's part of Part 1A. She wasn't at the Red Wedding, but you don't want to take up more screen time by showing what actually happens to her. It's not actually, you're not missing much. Instead of getting stabbed to death at the Red Wedding while she's pregnant, she goes back because Robb doesn't want to offend Lord Frey, so he sends her back to her homeland where she's going to sit and hang out with her mom and stuff. And her mom, under orders from the Lannisters, gives her, like, moon tea that aborts the baby.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
she's alive. She didn't get the
Yeah.
HBO had a boner for violence, and they were like, "How do we make the Red Wedding more violent, or
Yeah.
as violent in the books, but with our limited amount of characters?" And like, well, why don't we just stab this pregnant woman? Because
Yeah.
HBO was totally game for that.
So
Why
I'm
don't we
okay.
just bring in Lady Stoneheart.
That might happen
Mhm.
this season. Might happen if you're paying attention
Yeah.
enough. And
If you're
that'll-
paying attention, it's possible.
they've
It's
mentioned they've mentioned the Brotherhood without banners this season twice,
Yep.
which is more than all of last season combined. So it's very possible. Now,
And they're sending away Lady Brienne
Yep.
south. We can have hold on. We can have a whole Game of Thrones conspiracy show. So you should
Yeah.
make your points.
I'm
'Cause we
gonna.
have
I'm
coming
gonna,
up on the 2-hour mark.
Yeah. I'm gonna really briefly go. So basically, the part that really annoyed me, more so than the whole changing name things, and I get the whole tying up storylines because you don't want loose ends, and people will be like, "What happened to Talissa Stark? She's got Robb's kid. He's the heir. Blah blah blah." Okay, I get that. Tie up the storylines. But the one thing I can't get over, and this is not really on HBO or Game of Thrones, but on humanity as a whole, and we can leave the episode with this note, and you guys can talk on it if you'd like, but as I get older, my tolerance for stupidity, I find, goes way, way, way down.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
I'll leave it with this. When I was younger, I could deal with, like, stupid gamer friends. Like, friends that weren't as good as me at gaming, but, you know, hey, I'm getting them into gaming, so, you know, it was fun and whatever. I didn't take it too seriously. As I got older, not that I take it more seriously now or anything, but my patience for stupidity kind of goes down. And I keep calling it stupidity, and I'll diverge a little bit on that in a second, but the thing that really got me, this episode, you know, this last one on Sunday, I watched it and I was like, oh, it was a good episode, you know, they're setting up for the Battle of the Bastards and, you know, this and that, and it's all going to be great, it's good times, yada yada. But what really fucking drove me nuts is they talked about Edmure and the Blackfish. Edmure Tully is Catelyn Stark's brother. He's the Lord of Riverrun, and Blackfish is her uncle. He escaped from the Red Wedding, went back, took over Riverrun, and now Jaime is going to go lift the siege that the Freys are going to have. They're going to be sieging Riverrun. Jaime is going to lift the siege. It's from the books. That's the spoiler. It's not really a huge spoiler. It's in next week on Game of Thrones, and he's standing there talking to the Blackfish, and there's no siege going on. That's what that was. It's not a spoiler. It was in the fucking clip. But immediately after watching the show this Sunday, I watched the next week on Game of Thrones, and I was like, okay, cool. So, you know, I'm pretty pumped for next week. It's going to be good, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, you know, I go to the IMDb forums while I'm taking a shit. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how everybody else thought about the episode. And most of the time, the IMDb forums is, oh, man, this episode was good. I can't wait till next week, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, the front page on my phone was 20 threads, okay? I counted 16 of them were who's Edmure, who is the Blackfish, or one of those, or who is Edmure and the Blackfish, why should we care about Edmure the Blackfish, and lastly, who is Benjen Stark, and why should we care, because he showed up and helped Bran and Mira north of the Wall. And to me,
Oh my god.
I just...
Total loss. loss of faith in humanity.
Because I'm like, okay, they've been talking about Edmure and Blackfish since the Red Wedding, which was fucking 3 seasons ago. It has been brought up multiple times, and since the very fucking first episode, Benjen Stark has been a reoccurring theme. He was in the first 4 episodes, he disappeared beyond the wall. Jon's storyline arc has 100% been revolved around finding his uncle, getting the Watch together, saving the wildlings from the White Walkers, and then, leaving a legacy. And that all directly revolves around his uncle, who has a huge influence on him. So when people were like, who is that? And as soon as I saw him, I was, the whole, flames and the White Walker, and I'm like, oh my god, that's Benjen Stark.
I knew immediately.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's badass. And then, sure enough, he pulls down the mask thing, and he's looks semi-dead, looks zombie-like, and I was like, okay, cool. So they're merging Cold Hands and Benjen Stark into the same character. George R.R. Martin says in the books, Cold Hands has nothing to do with Benjen Stark, so this is just them tying up another loose end. I don't mind. But really got me was the fact that people were like, who is this person? I haven't seen him. And it's like, are you not fucking paying attention? How do you not know who that is?
I mean, that goes back to what we actually talked about at the very beginning of this episode, so good on you for creating a loop for closure. It's why people watch things, because it's the same reason that stupid shows as a whole exist, like the stupid reality TV shows where 20 people compete over a fake wife, but it's why people watch TV shows, and a lot of people that will write those threads and go out there and be stupid without looking anything up are the same people that are just watching the show because it's the best show of that theme. I mean, as far as the whole the medieval realm thing goes, name another show that's front running that's as good as HBO at making shows.
Right.
There's no Game of Thrones comparison, so a lot of dumb people aren't paying 100% attention to it.
And it's unfortunate, but that drives me nuts, and I find that as I get older, my patience for it is just going way down. I can't.
I'm going to compare that to the softcore and hardcore mode of Diablo. It's that, they're just watching it to watch it. A lot of people are just consuming television mindlessly. They don't care. They haven't read the books. They haven't gone through any of it. So this is just another show to them. So that they're going to be like, oh, whatever. I feel like maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
But maybe then that's funny because I didn't agree with your hardcore thing, but I totally agree with you in the shows thing.
Right.
But
to me, it goes deeper than that. It's not just a matter of oh, this is how it was in the books, or I don't expect that everybody that watches the shows has read the books, because that's realistic. Not everybody's going to read, and I mean, that's just, it's kind of sad. Very few people actually read nowadays, but that's neither here nor there. But when it comes down to it, just to watch the show, fine. But a lot of the people that I see on those message boards are people that I've seen talking in other threads that are like, oh, what do you think Daenerys is going to do next week? And then they'll bring up the fact that, Strong Belwas wasn't in the show, and what do you think Jorah's going to do to get rid of his grayscale? Do you think he's going to do the same thing that fucking Stannis did to get rid of grayscale on his daughter? And they would, I can't even remember her name, Shireen, I think it was. And they would actually, Shireen,
right.
Shireen, yeah. And they would list, all these details, and I'm like, oh, yeah, good point, fair enough. And then those same people will post the next week and be like, who's Benjen Stark? And it's like, clearly they're paying attention to the show. Are they just that stupid? I don't know. And you know what? Again, it's forgiven if you are one of those people that just watches the show to watch the show. And you're just not really paying attention.
If you can't Google, don't put your stupid out there.
Yeah.
Right?
If they would have typed that into Google instead of IMDb forums, they would have known immediately. Oh, Benjen Stark? Oh, he was the first Ranger. Jon's uncle. Jon's uncle. Jon had an uncle? Oh, on the Night's Watch. Oh, that guy! And they would know. They wouldn't have to post and then wait a couple hours to get a response from somebody who didn't post and be like, are you fucking retarded? So it's like one of those things where it's like, don't post it on a thread, just Google it.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
I mean, that's 90% of tech support is Google.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway,
Have you
so
tried turning it off and on again?
Kyle or Zach, do you want to touch on that topic at all, or even the topic of
Nope.
stupid people?
I don't do stupid.
No.
All right. Well, then we'll basically
We won't
leave
give them
it
the
here.
time of day.
Yeah, we'll basically leave it here for the episode then. Thanks everybody for watching Life Bites episode 3, or listening if you're catching this later on SoundCloud when I eventually get it uploaded. If you're catching this on Twitch, we're going to do this every week. No more weeks off. You know, if somebody can't be here, I'll get a fill-in guest, or we'll just do it like 3-man or something. We'll figure it out. So, thanks for watching. Spread it to your friends. Let them know, you know, this is a thing.
Spread it like
And,
Keist.
Yeah, spread it like Keist. And let me know your feedback. Get a hold of me on Twitch, on Skype, send me a message, whatever. Pop me a message on my YouTube. Everything is Draken. Twitter as well. So, yeah. In the meantime, respect each other. Respect yourselves. Take care of yourselves. See you again next week.
And don't post stupid shit in forums.
And don't post stupid shit in forums.